Welcome back to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Reality TV is a genre of television programming that has captured the attention of millions of people around the world and became a global success. My next guest is a Milwaukee native who has played a huge part in the success of several popular reality shows. He's on a mission to create a film to address some of the issues that are plaguing our communities, and it is my pleasure to welcome to the show Mr. Brendon Carter. How are you?
I'm good, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm excited to find out more about you. You were born and raised here in Milwaukee.
Yes.
Tell us about your background and how it led you to where you are today.
Born here to a single parent mom. Had two other sisters as well. Lived on 21st and Galena, right in Lisbon Square. Then moved to 2nd and Locust, where I lived with my grandmother. And then kind of was active in everything that the city had to offer. Mm-hmm. I was a part of the Milwaukee Striders. I boxed for Al Moreland Boxing Club. I played instruments and competed, on a statewide level for years. Everything the city had to offer, I was involved in.
Yeah, extremely talented.
Well,
I've said it, if you do say so yourself. No, it's awesome. Where did you go to high school?
I went to South Division High School.
Okay.
Graduated in 1987. Starting quarterback there for 3 years. Was part of the 3 state championships there in track and field. And was lucky enough to take those things and have a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort into me who weren't necessarily my biological family to help me get to college on a full ride scholarship, full ride football scholarship.
Okay.
Did that, went up to Mankato State, which is now Minnesota State University. Did that, a few years, played up there, decided that maybe my talents weren't, maybe things weren't working out for me there as I wanted them to, so then all of a sudden I transferred to a university in California.
Okay. So what was your major?
Sociology at that time. Actually, my first major was medical technology.
Wow.
And then I went to sociology.
Okay, and then you ended up being this producer and writer in television. So.
Right. I mean, I studied political science and sociology once I got out to California State University, Chico, and from there I worked for the university. I was part of the Associated Students Council, which I brought all the entertainment to the university, and I had a counselor who would teach me how to negotiate contracts, not only negotiate the contracts, but do all the overall deals, and then I managed a staff of like 7 other people. Okay. So that's where I really got my taste for entertainment, and from there, one of the guys on the council had an uncle who was an associate director, an AD basically, on a show and said, "Hey, my uncle says we can come down and work this summer if you'd like to go work on a television show."
Wow. And
he says, "We got to buy our own food, but you can sleep on his couch. I'm going to sleep on the couch too." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I went down there and got hooked. The company I was working for, 4 Point Entertainment, they did American Gladiators at the time. Mm-hmm. I was a spotter. I was one of the guys who would hold the pads on the side of the games.
Oh, wow.
But what I did figure out really fast, because cameras were always my thing, was if I put myself right there, that means the camera will see me and the contestant every time. And that was kind of like, fun for me to kind of figure out.
So it just seems like there's so many different layers to really what has made you the man you are today.
Absolutely, and that's part of the thing. It's like I said, I had coaches, John Bowen, I had Joe Sims and Coach Kern. I had Al Moreland for Al Moreland Boxing Club. I had uncles and cousins that actually put a lot of time in, just members of the community. There was a lot of men around that time who were able to go into their factory jobs and go into their everyday jobs, whether it was A.L. Smith, Allen Bradley, Laddish, Chalmers, wherever it was, and they can make a living wage for their family. And they had the ability to give back. Also, Beckham Stapleton. Mr. Beckham is the man. I played from Little League up through Big League. And that literally saved people's lives, that league, and it's still around.
I love it. And so, as I mentioned, you have this extensive background serving as a producer, writer, and director on several well-known projects. And I'll mention a few of those. There's Gene Simmons' Family Jewels that aired on A&E. Then you're a field producer for season 1 of Punk'd with Ashton Kutcher. And there were 2 of my favorites. Okay. L.A. Hair with Kim Kimball. And then Bama Style. Bama State Style. Yeah. That's just naming a few of the many shows that you've worked on. But ironically, Bama State's director Dr. James B. Oliver.
Yes.
He was the director of the band of my college at Central State University
Really?
when I was a dancer.
Okay.
So I know Dr. O.
Dr. O.
And I know all of the choice words you heard that you had to edit out of that show.
Right. Well, it's funny because Dr. Oliver and I have become really close friends. I was
love
just
him.
on the phone with him yesterday.
Yes.
It's funny that you mentioned that. And he does a really good job down there. And he really cares.
Yes.
He really, really cares and puts effort into the students and making them sort of be the best that they can be in every turn and every aspect of their lives. And that's one of the cool things about Dr. Oliver.
Yeah, and I know that firsthand. Love him, I really do. And so with this impressive resume, you've also worked on Dick Clark's New Year's Eve Countdown, and even won an Emmy for your work as lead director on MTV's The Osbournes. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, the show won the Emmy, so we share it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that was one of my favorite shows. Like, Ozzy and his family are really, really amazing people.
The Osbournes.
Yeah, Sharon is an amazing, amazing woman, and Ozzy's a really, really good dude. And Jack and Kelly, they were very, very cool teens. You know, as interested in all the things that teenagers were, but they, you know, they've grown to be really, really good people. And it was one of my most favorite experiences. You know, outside of like some of the other shows that you.
I mean, they're all huge rock stars. Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne, it's like kind of doesn't get bigger than that. Depending on what kind of music you like, that is huge.
Right, yeah, and it's weird because I never, in a million years, like I never thought that I would be working with that level of people. And then at one point you kind of look around and you go, this is what you do. You work with major brands and you create content amongst, you know, to help push those brands up in some way, shape, or form, and make it entertaining all at the same time.
Yeah, because when you talk about reality TV, especially in this day and age, it's huge in the sense that there's so many different types of reality TV shows, of course, but I think it's here to stay. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, the one thing that I like about the shows that I've done is that none of them are mean-spirited. You know what I mean? And there's a level of mean spirit that has creeped into, or not creeped into, but have been existing in some of the reality shows.
True. That's true.
And I'm not a fan of those. Okay. These were generally, you know, family-oriented comedies.
The Bama State style, I thought it was a huge mistake for one of the networks to kind of say, oh, it's not really working, because it's one of those things that encouraged young people to want to go to college, especially looking at it from a historically black college perspective. Out of all the shows that you've done, what was your favorite?
It's kind of like asking a parent which one of their kids is the favorite. They all have had different challenges. You know, I did a show with William Shatner that was called Invasion Iowa, and we had to keep all of our production notes under wraps because the town that we were shooting in, it was basically William Shatner's passion project. He was going to make a film in the future birthplace of Captain Kirk, which was Riverside, Iowa. Unbeknownst to the town, it wasn't really a passion project. It was Hollywood making fun at itself. You know, and showing how, you know, good-hearted Midwestern people respond to things that people in Hollywood are, you know, are over the top about for the most part. And so every document couldn't be circulated, and we'd have meetings in private. And in that 12 days, we made like 6 episodes, and we actually shot a short film that actually aired in the body of episodes on a network I don't think we can talk about. But each one of the challenges are different. Ozzy and his family, wonderful, great people, loved going to work every day. Gene and his family had different challenges as well, but all, you know, different in their own. Punk'd was amazing. Queer Eye was one in which at the end of the show you would look around at the crew and we'd be in the studio and there wasn't a dry eye there. So each one of them brought something different to the table. Working with Vince Young, that was different too, seeing a family come together around a guy who's trying to, you know, grow and be the best person that he can at that time. So yeah, each one of them.
Every time you mention a show, somebody at home's going, wow, he did that too. Yeah, the list goes on and on, like 3 pages worth. And I was just so impressed with all of the things that you've been able to do throughout your career. But what brings you here today is your goal to create a film called Brew City Therapy.
Yes.
Talk more about that.
I wrote the film. I'm going to direct it as well. But the whole hopes of the film is, I remember a time in Milwaukee. Well, let me just take it back. Right now, over the last few years, Milwaukee has been getting some negative press on a national level. And being a person from Milwaukee, when you are in places, California or wherever you are, and people know you're from Milwaukee, all of a sudden you become the spokesperson for Milwaukee. I remember Milwaukee in a different light. When I grew up and was in Milwaukee, your neighbors could step in and discipline you if they thought what you were doing was outside of what your parents thought you were doing.
Of course.
It was a community. The neighborhoods were neighborhoods. People cared. There were volunteers who helped add to your life. You know what I mean? And help add sort of elements to your life that help you grow.
Yeah, and you talked about all the mentors that you had, especially in dealing with sports. So those things, I think, is what's missing across the board, no matter what city in the U.S. that you're looking at. Those are things that are missing. So you're taking a look at issues that have kind of taken over and had a huge impact on families and individuals as a whole. How do you plan on going about making this film a reality?
Well, there's a couple things. Just to talk about some of the issues really quickly, if you don't mind. Some of the things that bother me is, you know, since last year, or in the year 2016, there was 84 domestic violence homicides. And I'm not just talking about men, women. I'm talking about men, women, and children. That's an issue and a problem. If you don't want to step up and help that, something is truly wrong with you. You know what I mean? There's also, and that's a people problem. It's not a Milwaukee problem. It's not a polarized African-American culture problem. It's not a white problem. It's not a Latino problem. It's a people problem.
Absolutely. It doesn't even matter what your income. It happens every single day.
Same thing with human trafficking. Again, a people problem. So those are some of the things. Public health, a people problem. Those are the three major topics that are in this film that I've written. And at the beginning of it, it's sort of a from whence we came. You'll hear from real Milwaukee natives talking about the heyday, how they were able to go into these places and workplaces and then give back because they could make an affordable wage and they had the ability to want to give back to the community. And then also the four narrative topics that will be worked out in scene work with real actors. And then a call to action to help try to bring Milwaukee back to a place where it's proud again, to instill some of those values that are kind of deteriorating, you know, everyday life in Milwaukee. Things look different, things feel different. If we don't realize that they are different and don't do anything about it, they'll just get worse. The trajectory can be changed at this point, and I want to be a part of that. I have family here, my daughter's here. I love this place, and I just feel like if I don't come to try and help, not knocking what anybody else is doing. I don't want to be misinterpreted as that. I want to be a part of some of the solutions to help propel the city back to where it once was.
I love that, and that's what brought you here today to tell us about this. And what is going to be the requirement to get this done? I know you want to hire local people when you do start working on this film, and also incorporate the unions, DGA, SAG-AFTRA, all that. Tell us, we've got just about less than a minute, how you go about making it happen.
I want to make sure that, well, one of the things I've reached out to a lot of the different local legislators as well to try to help align me with different organizations and nonprofits that share the mission of the film itself. Part of it is making sure that people behind the camera and people in front of the camera are from Milwaukee, because they'll have something that's tangible and something that they can touch and say, hey, Milwaukee did this. So that's a lot of it. And just being aligned with people who can actually get resources behind it as well.
Good stuff. Well, you have to definitely come back when you're ready to get filming, and I thank you so much for everything.
Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
Brendon Carter, he's a writer, producer, and an Emmy winner, and we'll be sure to keep you up to date with everything that is going on, and that is going to do it for today's show. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. As always, we thank you for watching, and I do hope you join us again next week as we take another look at our issues in Milwaukee. Have a great day.